Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. A Canadian citizen has lost his appeal against a death sentence in China for drug smuggling. The court said it upheld Robert Lloyd Schellenberg's sentence because evidence against him was sufficient. Schellenberg was initially sentenced to 15 years in jail, but in 2019 an appeal court said this was too lenient, leading to a retrial and a death sentence. He was detained in 2014 and charged with planning to smuggle almost 500 pounds of methamphetamine from China to Australia. He denies the charges and said he went to China as a tourist. At least 10 pro-democracy activists have been arrested in Thailand as thousands demonstrated against the country's all-powerful monarchy. The arrests come after protesters returned to the streets over the weekend, calling for the Prime Minister to resign and for the monarchy to be reformed. Frustration is mounting over the state's management of coronavirus outbreaks and the damaging pandemic measures which have been inflicted on the economy. About 100 police officers in riot gear sealed off a road near Victory Monument in the capital and used water cannon, tear gas and rubber bullets to stop a march toward Government House. North Korea says it could bolster its weapons program in response to a major joint military exercise between the United States and South Korea set for this month. South Korea and the United States have begun preliminary training, and larger computer-simulated exercises are scheduled for next week. Kim Yo-jong, the powerful sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, said in a statement that the exercises were an act of self-destruction for which a dear price should be paid. A spokeswoman for Prince Andrew says he has no comment to make on the lawsuit filed against him by a woman in the US who alleges he abused her when she was 17. Virginia Giuffre, who was an accuser of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, claims she was sexually assaulted by Prince Andrew in London and New York. Prince Andrew has consistently denied the claims. Colombian authorities have seized about 2 tons of cocaine inside a submarine. According to police, 3 people were on board of the submarine intercepted in the Pacific Ocean. It was headed for the coast of Central America. The commander of the task force said this seizure represents a loss of approximately $68 million for the illegal organizations. Despite decades fighting drug trafficking, Colombia remains one of the world's top producers of cocaine. At least 7 people have been killed in Algeria as forest fires spread in the North African country. State radio reported that some houses were completely destroyed and that schools in Tizi Ouzou province were receiving citizens displaced by the fires. The province is located around 150 kilometers east of the capital, Algiers. At least 19 fires broke out in 14 provinces across the country. Firefighters and helicopters are still trying to contain several blazes threatening residents. Guinea health officials have confirmed the first case of Marburg, a highly infectious disease in the same family as the virus that causes Ebola. The World Health Organization said the virus needed to be stopped in its tracks. Marburg virus disease is transmitted to people from fruit bats and spreads between humans through the transmission of bodily fluids. Cases are extremely rare, with the last major outbreak in Angola in 2005. It is a severe, often fatal illness that causes fever and bleeding disorders. Kenyan civil servants have been given 13 days to be vaccinated against COVID or face unspecified disciplinary measures. The head of public service said the order was as a result of the low uptake of COVID-19 vaccines among public servants, especially teachers and those in the security sector. Last week, the government said it had administered more than 1.7 million AstraZeneca vaccines, most of them being first doses. Kenya has reported more than 200,000 cases since the pandemic began. And finally, elephants that have been rescued from circuses and temples in India are treated to a feast of their favourite fruits and vegetables ahead of World Elephant Day. The lavish spread of cut watermelons, bananas, papayas and pumpkins were laid out especially for the Asian elephants at a sanctuary near the banks of the Yamuna River. The centre observes a week of events surrounding World Elephant Day, officially held on August the 12th. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.